Welcome back to Behind the Wheel. Normally I would open this movie with some long-winded, drawn-out, overcomplicated paragraph including some sort of metaphor or some pop culture reference or something other. I would probably emphasize the cultural importance of the car, tell you in which movie it has appeared and why you should care. I would be pointlessly droning about listening to the sound of my own voice, beating around the bush, completely and utterly incapable of getting straight to the point. I would be... I've done it again, haven't I? You know what, let's just cut to the title screen. This is it, folks. The grandma, the OG, the one that started it all. This is in the 1968 Ford Mustang. And if I have to get straight to the point, I freaking love it. Now, it is impossible to emphasize enough the importance of this car in automotive history. In the same way that the Model T revolutionized the assembly line and the Bugatti Veyron redefined how fast a road legal car could go, there is very much a before and after Ford Mustang. Let me tell you a little bit about that. The year is 1962 and Lee Iacocca, a higher-ranking executive at Ford, brilliantly portrayed by John the Punisher Bernthal in the movie Ford vs. Ferrari, decide that something has to change at the Ford Motor Company. Alongside with a team of designers and engineers, he champions the T5 project. Now, the goal of T5 was to bridge the gap between go-karts and the Corvette. That's a pretty big gap if you want my opinion. The results of these efforts were the Mustang 1 that looked nothing like this car, then the Mustang 2, and finally this puppy, or whatever the baby equivalent of a horse is. The name of the car is said to have been inspired by the World War II P-51 Mustang fighter plane, or, according to other sources, by the fact that one of the marketing guys at Ford was really into horse breeding, which is a really weird hobby to have. I guess we'll never know for sure. What we do know, however, is that the production of the Mustang started 5 months before the official start of the 1965 production year. And so some cars ended up being sold to customers as 1964 and a half models. And I don't know of any other car that has a similar story. The car then appeared in a couple of James Bond movies, Goldfinger in 1964 and Thunderball in 1965. Ford must have felt pretty good about this marketing strategy because they expected to sell 100,000 units in the first year. It took less than 3 months for the car to sell that many units. And only 18 months after the Mustang was released, over 1 million cars had found their way into the hands of customers. Talk about taking the world by storm. Yeehaw. Even crazier, although the sales have been declining since the 60s, the Mustang is still Ford's longest production run car. The Sierra is gone, the Escort is gone, even the Fiesta is coming to the end of its run. But the Mustang is still going strong. So what about this car? Well, her name is, you've guessed it, Sally, and she is a 1968 hardtop coupe, and in proper American muscle car fashion, she is fitted with a 4.7 litre, 289 cubic inch V8 engine, making, give or take, 190 horsepower. And that's not too bad for a car that weighs just over 1,400 kilos. Granted, with me behind the wheel, it's more like 1,500 and a bit, but that's beside the point. And it's easy to forget what with car weights and sizes have been ballooned like crazy over the past half a century, but the original Mustang was a lean, mean, road-eating machine. And that brings us to the topic of styling, and that is, in my opinion, where the big problem lies. You see, the most infuriating thing about driving one of these is that while you're behind the wheel, you simply don't get to look at it from the outside. And that's a real shame, because the original Mustang is by far the most beautiful the car has ever looked. I mean, look at this bright candy apple red stallion. And you'd be hard pressed to find a more iconic silhouette than that. But the most brilliant thing about this car is the way it makes you feel. Most old-timers make you feel pretty special, like you're sitting inside your own little private slice of automotive history. But the Mustang just makes you feel cool, like Steve McQueen cool. Right now I got my cowboy boots, my leather jacket and my trucker's hat. It's just me, the road, the car, and all I want to do is ride around. Oh, I just got off the phone with Sir David Attenborough. A baby horse is called a foal. You're welcome.